You've heard this story before, a grand public project that begins with a handshake and ends with an apology. This time, it didn't. Across the Detroit River, twin towers rose from opposite shores, ribs of steel reaching toward each other until the gap began to shrink. They call it the Gordie Howe International Bridge, and it's almost finished. That alone shouldn't be remarkable, except this bridge was widely labeled impossible. 2 countries, 2 budgets, 2 rulebooks. Everything had to meet in the middle, and everyone predicted delays, lawsuits, and a slow fade into the megaprojects gone wrong file. Instead, it's nearly done, 98% complete, with crews tightening the last bolts. So how did a binational project, the sort that usually collapses under politics, actually deliver? That's the question, and the answer starts right here on the waterline between 2 nations. Start with traffic and money. Every day, thousands of trucks move engines, produce, medication, the bloodstream of North American trade between Detroit and Windsor. Almost a third of US-Canada commerce funnels through this corridor. For decades, one crossing defined that flow, the privately owned Ambassador Bridge. Built in 1929, it funneled freight through narrow lanes and steep grades, with border lights just steps from the Canadian Plaza. It wasn't merely a bridge, it was a choke point. One breakdown, one protest, one heavy snow, and the auto industry could seize up in an afternoon. On a map, Detroit and Windsor touch. On the ground, the border pinched, fragile and overexposed. Both governments knew the answer wasn't romance, it was redundancy. A clean, controlled link from Ontario's Highway 401 into Michigan's I-75. No stoplights, no weaving through neighborhoods, and no single private owner with his hand on the lever. The Gordie Howe wasn't designed to erase the old crossing. It exists to make sure the system never freezes again. From far away, it reads as just another bridge, cables, pylons, concrete. Up close, it feels like visible intent. 6 traffic lanes, a dedicated path for walkers and cyclists, the first across this stretch of river. An 853-meter main span, the longest cable stayed in North America, and one quiet master stroke, no supports in the water. That keeps shipping lanes clear 24/7, trims environmental disruption, avoids mid-river maintenance, and preserves a clean skyline. At ground level, the thinking is equally direct. 401 to I-75 without detours or traffic lights, so freight doesn't snake through residential streets. But the real story isn't only engineering, it's purpose. This project is built to behave like a single machine, across a line where systems usually double. Efficiency isn't an afterthought, it's the brief. Here's where everything turns. For years, both countries agreed the bridge was essential, but when it came time to fund a structure that lands in another nation, Washington hesitated. So Canada did the unthinkable. It financed the entire project, roughly $6.4 billion for design, construction, both border plazas, and even the Michigan interchange on US soil. Ottawa's logic was brutal in its simplicity. If we wait for Congress, we'll wait forever. By fronting the cash, Canada converted a binational headache into a single-owner project, one budget, one decision tree, fewer veto points. In return, Canada collects tolls over time to recover costs. No two-headed funding cliff, no stalled committees, just steady progress. It's the kind of long-horizon gamble megaprojects almost never make, and exactly why this one didn't join the failure pile. Even well-run projects take hits, this one included. Ground broke in 2018 with an opening penciled for late 2024, then came 2020. COVID thinned crews and froze cross-border workflows. Concrete pours paused mid-phase. Steel sat on idle rail lines. Even moving welders and inspectors across the river turned into a puzzle of travel rules. When work ramped back up, prices surged. Steel, concrete, labor. Semiconductor shortages sidelined cranes and pumps. And because this is a border crossing, every system demanded 2 approvals, Canadian and American, before the next phase could start. Timelines slipped 2024, 2025. 2025, early 2026. Yet by mid-2025, the bridge was approximately 98% complete. Towers locked, main span connected, and teams finishing out the last kilometers of highway. In megaproject terms, that's a sprint, bruises and all. To understand the project, see its choreography. 1. The bridge, approximately 2.5 kilometers end-to-end, with that 853-meter cable-stayed spine slung between twin A towers rising greater than 220 meters. 2. Canada's port of entry, roughly 53 hectares of inspection lanes, canopies, and support buildings, concrete arranged for flow, not spectacle. 3. The U.S. port of entry, a mirrored field of booths, scanning tech and logistics behind the fence line. 4. The Michigan interchange, ramps nesting into I-75 so trucks aren't dumped onto city streets. Each part is tuned to move thousands of vehicles per hour without chaos. A mechanical ballet in steel, asphalt, and light. For almost a century, Detroit-Windsor's critical crossing sat in private hands. Billionaire Manuel "Matty" Maroon owned the Ambassador Bridge and the leverage that came with it. When talk of a public alternative surfaced, he fought. Lobbying, lawsuits, ballot measures, even an advertising blitz. At one point, his company advanced an unauthorized twin span to keep control. The Gordie Howe changed that math. Publicly financed, publicly managed, and built to make monopoly power irrelevant. To Maroon, it looked like betrayal dressed as progress. He battled in courts and campaigns, but concrete moved faster. By the time the pylon stood over the river, the contest was effectively over, and control shifted back to the public that actually uses the road. On paper, the four parts read like separate jobs. On the ground, they work like one machine. Freight hits the Canadian POE in fan-outs of lanes, funnels through scanning, then climbs the main span without crossing city grids. On the US side, lanes reform into the interchange and stream directly onto I-75. That coherence is the point. Fewer random stops, less neighborhood impact, and a border process that behaves predictably under stress, protest, weather, a stalled rig, without freezing the corridor. It's the quiet promise of design done well, not flashy, just seamless. The proof won't be in speeches, it'll be in behavior. On opening, planners expect up to approximately 20,000 vehicles per day across 6 lanes. New custom systems emphasize automation, faster scans, fewer idle minutes, cleaner data. That cuts tailpipes at the border and begins to improve local air quality in neighborhoods that have carried the cost of delay for decades. Emergency response gets faster. Cross-border shipping saves millions in lost time. And for the first time, you can walk or cycle this crossing legally. No ferry, no car, just skyline and wind. It's heavy infrastructure serving industry and daily life. Efficiency with humanity attached. When the Gordie Howe opens, now expected early 2026, it won't just connect steel to steel, it'll connect two governments that, against the odds, finish something hard together. A project that began as a political gamble became a working corridor designed to outlast the people who signed for it. In a decade when public megaproject often means punchline, that alone is extraordinary. Because this bridge isn't only infrastructure, it's evidence. Proof that cooperation doesn't always need a miracle. It needs a clear plan and one steady hand on the budget. But one question lingers over the waterline. If it took one country paying for two to get this done, what does that say about how we share power? For the next cross-border mega project, would you rather share control or just get it built?